Cryptozoic Entertainment and Valve bring us Portal the board game, so load up your portal guns and let's make the jump. This is gonna be awesome. Hey, this is theMCGuiRE Review, and today we're going to be taking a look at Portal from Cryptozoic Entertainment. Now, this was a partnership with Valve, and if you guys don't already know, Valve by far is one of my favorite gaming and software companies, but they're behind stuff like Half-Life, the HTC Vive, the Steam client, all that awesome stuff from a like a video gaming perspective. But they partnered with Cryptozoic here to produce this game, which is actually based on one of Valve's video games called Portal, obviously. They do have a Portal 2 game out as well. And that brings us right into what we're going to do with this game. So this board game does actually come with this nice little edition. It's got some pretty sweet artwork on the front from Portal 2. And on the back, it has a game key. Classic little gray, scratch off. And you can go to the Steam client. It's a free download. You can download that from Valve. Go there and claim the key on this card, and it will give you a free game, Portal 2, which will download right into your computer. And I highly recommend this video game. It is an awesome game. I will be giving this away to one lucky viewer. Now, there are a few things. You'll find the contest rules in the descriptions below. You do have to be, obviously, a subscriber of the channel, and you do need to post to the comments. And what we're looking for is how would you, if you had a portal gun, where would you shoot it and where would you go with that portal? So that's the question. Make your comment below, and we will run the contest for about 2 weeks or so, and then I'll pick from the comments my favorite comment, and then I will send you this card, and it is up for anybody in the world, so there is no restriction there. You'll just have to send me your address, obviously, and I will send you this card. So that's how that will work. You'll get a free game if you are selected from the comments. So let's get right into the components. The first thing we'll look at here is the rulebook, and it is a very bland, kind of blank looking rulebook. And I don't say that in the way of it being something bad for the review. It's part of the style of what they're going for with the whole package here. So if you know the Portal game, you've played that, you'll kind of get the artistic style that they're going with, and it's actually done fantastically well. I love these little people that they have. These are done really, really well. The little pieces of cake. You'll see on the back of the box, they kind of have this black and white sort of, a family playing all kind of stoically staring at one another. So it all kind of fits part of the theme. I will say here, since we're looking at the back, this is ages 15 and up, and it's a 2 to 4 player game. So, this is titled the Uncooperative Cake Acquisition Game, so it definitely is a competitive game. Now, the one thing that I am a little thrown off on is it says 15 and up, but obviously the two girls that they have here in this picture, to me, do not appear to be 15 years old or anywhere near that. So, I'm not really sure why the age is 15 and up. There's nothing that I can find on the cards or on the artwork that would indicate that it would need that kind of age range. And it is a fairly simplistic game. So that's one thing that I will say. Don't be scared away by the 15 and up. I do play this with my 7-year-old, and we have no problem. So again, if we look at our book here, you'll see this is pretty much kind of the look of what you're going to get on each page. It's going to lay out that text for you and give you a little bit of visual around how to play the game. It is a very, very simple, straightforward game, and the rulebook does a good job at kind of laying that out, then running you through a turn sequence, and then adding on any special extra rules that you would have with items like this little companion cube here and the little droid that they do include, which is a nice little minifig as well. Now, with this being a 4-player game, you will see I have 2 other colors here, the yellow and kind of a purple. And then you've got your blue and your red. So those are your 4 colors that you're going to have. They do include this nice little board here, and as you play this game, you'll find that your cake will be incinerated. You'll put it right here in this spot. Just kind of indicates this is all the incinerated cake. And then you'll have 2 spots here that will list out your actual actions for the game. You'll see there's 4 there. So your Aperture cards will be set right here. So we'll go right in and look at our Aperture cards. And these are nice because they have 2 sides to them. On one side is actually what the card is going to do. For instance, the one I drew here is the companion cube. So if I had this card in my hand and it was my turn, I could play this card. I can only hold up to 3 of these cards in my hand at one time. And I can play all 3 of them if it's my turn if I want to. But you're going to have to kind of watch them because you don't just get to draw one of these every time you take a turn. You have to acquire these Aperture cards by moving your little people to various rooms. And then once those rooms are taken off the board and recycled, and that will happen here at the very end, it's kind of a track, sort of a running type board that's been designed here, you will get to potentially draw more of these Aperture cards. So, for instance, this one, if I wanted to play it, says place the companion cube token in any chamber. So I would be able to take the little companion cube here, and I'd be able to place it in a chamber. And essentially what that does, since we're talking about it, is let's say there were people that were in that cube, and let's say it was near the end here, because when you activate these rooms, there's little icons on them, and we'll look at it here closer when we take a look at these rooms. When you want to activate a room and you take it off of the old side, they call it, this is the kind of the end of the board, and you refresh it and you put it on the front, at that point in time you'll get to claim those things on that room if you have the most people in that room. Well, if I was to put the companion cube there, you wouldn't get anything, because essentially what that companion cube is doing is kind of distracting the little people. Since they're so distracted by this little cube and they're playing with this cube, they don't get to claim any of the benefits of that room. So that's what the companion cube does. And then on the back, you'll see of each card, there will actually be some artwork where it will list out a little character. So this is a really cool mechanic, and I'm going to show you how this works. So let's say that you had... we've got our Aperture cards here, and let's say that you had one Aperture card in your hand. Let's say it was the companion cube, and you played that companion cube. After you play it, you would flip it and put it right on the other spot of the board. And then on the back side, it says Aperture. So once at the start of each player's turn, they may choose to incinerate 2 of their cake slices to immediately end the game. So what this actually is an immediate rule that now will affect everyone in play, and it will override any base rules of the game. So that's kind of a cool mechanic, that every single time you play one of your Aperture cards, and these aren't hidden, they're viewable to all people at all times, back and front, but whenever you play it, it may give you a really good benefit when you play it, but then when you flip it down and you put it on the board, that would override whatever's ever there. Let's say another person played another card. That new rule, then it becomes in effect for everybody, and that may be a rule that may not benefit you as much as maybe what was on the other side of the card. So you kind of have to balance between when you want to play these cards and do both sides actually benefit you, and if they don't, is one really going to offset what that new rule in play may roll out. So if we think about our rule here around the incinerating 2 pieces of cake, there's 2 ways this game immediately ends. One, if there's any point in time in the game where one of the colors does not have a little person in play, the game immediately ends. Even if they have more people in reserve to deploy, it's over if there's ever a color that does not exist on the board. And that could be with 2, 3, or even 4 players. At least just one of them goes off the board and there's no color, the game ends. The second way is if any one person has all 8 pieces, and that's how many you'll have of these, all 8 pieces of their cake incinerated through either 1, these rules that get applied in the game, or 2, maybe there's a spot that you're on that eliminates a piece of cake, or 3, maybe there's an Aperture card that someone plays where they can come in and just immediately incinerate someone's cake that might be on the board. So there's multiple ways for that cake to get incinerated throughout the course of the game. So let's talk a little bit about the turn cycle here. Now, they did do a nice job with these cards. On one side is a picture of a portal gun. I'll show you how that works here in a minute. On the other side is the simplistic turn cycle that you're going to go through, which is 1, you're going to deploy Aperture cards if you have them in your hand. You're not going to start out with any, remember. You're going to have to acquire those through gameplay. 2, move 1 group of test subjects. Now, there is something very interesting about how test subjects move. You can grab a group and you can move them to any adjacent chamber, and there is no limit for how many can be within a chamber, and you can move them into a chamber with different colors as well. So I can move this group here, or here, or here, or here, or here. All right, anywhere that's adjacent. I can also make the choice of saying, you know what, I'm only going to move one of my test subjects. And I'm just going to pick this one here, and I'm going to move this one test subject right here. So, you're going to try to get your test subjects down through this board, but you may just want to move one. And if you do, you get a little bonus here, and it says right on the card, if you move only one test subject, draw an Aperture card or gain a test subject. So if you take that, just moving one, you then get to draw one of these Aperture cards. So that's kind of a quick way to maybe build up your queue of 3 just by moving one person. You can draw a card. Or you can actually add a new person to the board. So that could help you ensuring that you got enough of these little guys out on the board, and you don't ever run into that situation where, you don't have a guy on the board and the game immediately ends. So that's what you can do with movement. So the third thing you're going to do is activate a test chamber. So when you activate a test chamber, it's always one of the end test chambers here. So this is called the old edge. So one of these 3, or one of the 3 from the old edge, and however way it goes. You'll start the board out with 3 rows. You always have 3 rows, but each one of them is 5 rooms long to start. As the game goes on, those lengths will change, and they can go to whatever you want. Let's just say that in this situation, I was going to activate. Let's say I was to activate this room, and I was the red player. And I'd want to do that because then I could gain some of the things that are in this room. So what this will allow me to do is gain a piece of cake. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab the Gladys token here, and they have you sort of sit it on this room. I think this is more for just kind of theatrics. It's saying, okay, this is the room that's now going to be recycled, so then you take that off the room. These little people here would be pulled off and put back into your pile. You then would recycle this room by pulling it up. Make sure we keep these in place. That portal will stay there. We look at the room and we see this room actually gives us 2 benefits. One, I get to put a piece of cake out on the board. So when it recycles, it sort of flips to the front. Any cake or anything that would have been on it would have been incinerated. The people come back, and then I get to put 1 piece of cake on that room. And it also had one of these little attack droids on it, drones on it, that they call the turret. And how that works is if it's already out on the board, you're allowed to move it to one adjacent spot from where it is and immediately take out whatever little people are there. You're probably going to want to move that to one that doesn't have any of yours. Or if it isn't on the board already, you can take it out and put it on one of the new edge sides. So I'm just going to put it right here with this red cake, because I don't want to put it here or here, because then it would immediately take out one of my guys. So that's how the game's going to play out. You're going to go through that cycle, and you're always going to be recycling that end there. You're going to be moving people down, because you might think, well, probably for the first couple rounds of the game, you're just going to be recycling these rooms, and no one's really going to be getting any benefit because there's nobody in them. And hypothetically, that's true, but that won't go on too long. You'll see that people will start kind of moving down there and going for those certain rooms that have those particular, those particular little symbols on them. And you'll see they're very small little symbols up here at the top edge of the room, and both sides will have those, and they'll have different types of symbols that you'll be able to, get different actions. So the last thing that's important with this game is the portal gun. So let's say you've got some Aperture cards in your hand, you've built those up over time, you got your full hand of 3, and let's say you got a couple that you're like, well, I don't really know that I want to do this, but I really want to use that portal gun. So this is how it works. Instead of playing an Aperture card and reading what it is, you're going to just play the Aperture card. You're not going to read what it is. You're not going to get any of the benefits from it. You're still going to flip it over and put that overarching rule into play for everybody. But if you don't actually take the action that's on the Aperture card, you then can use your portal gun. Your portal gun will allow you to pick up the 2 little portals on the board and place them in any spots that you'd like to. So this is where it gets really interesting, where people start to kind of jump around the board to get various things. So let's say you play that portal gun early on, and you put one of the portals right here, and you put the other portal, let's say, right down here, because you want to deploy 3 more people and get a piece of cake by being majority on that room when it actually, recycles and flips over. Then let's say you need to take another turn and you're able to move to this room and through that portal right into that room. So that's how that portal's going to work. And maybe, the next round someone else tries to play their portal gun and they pick it up and they try to get themselves up here to this room. So it's just a way to be able to jump and move around these rooms very quickly. And it's really to be able to get to the end as quick as possible, to be able to claim the benefits by use of these tiles here. Now last, you may notice there are 3 room tiles that are over here. After you shuffle your stack of room tiles, you'll always have 3 extras. And that's just kind of a way to give you a little bit of variability, as these, all of these are just a little bit different. I mean, there are some that are the same, but it will give you a little bit of variability to start out. And again, they're double-sided. So every time you play, you're just going to randomly select which side and how many of them you need to do 3 rows, 5 each, so 15. You'll always have 3 extras left over. That's Portal. It's that simple. It's that straightforward. I absolutely love the theme of this game because I'm a huge fan of the video game. I think they did a great job with, everything from just the outside cover and look of the box to the instructions to some of the humor that's through this. There's quite a few really funny things that are in the text as you read through. It'd be a lot funnier if you've played the game. You'll get the jokes a little bit better. I really like the little people that are included and the little pieces of cake. Just really well done. I mean, they're simple pieces, but they're very, very elegant, nicely sculpted, nicely painted little pieces. Just fantastic job on this one. It travels well. Obviously, you can see it's got some pretty small components. If you needed to travel with it, you don't really have to take the full size box. You could throw it on a Ziploc and go. 2 thumbs up from me. Absolutely love this game. Please continue this. Come out with expansions. Come out with a Portal 2. Whatever you want to do, keep this going, because I think you could do some different things, Keep the first game maybe like this. Maybe make a Portal 2 that's more of a board game style that expands on the mechanics that you have here. I don't know. I absolutely love the theme, and maybe that's because I like the video game so much. It's just a lot of fun to play. Again, remember the giveaway. I will be giving this code to someone. You'll get a free game out of this. So hit that like, click that subscribe below to join the team. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time.